day 8 of our psychology training. So now we know what psychology testing is. We know what are the theories and therapies which can be used in psychology. Now, what is important for our psychologists? If you are assessing someone, if you are involved with someone, okay, so the base of a psychological therapy or base of psychological counseling or any kind of way, if you just provide some empathy to, if you just want to connect to a person empathetically, communication is the key. Communication is very important. So communication skills for therapists we are just gonna study in this video. Why? Because now you know what is psychology testing is. Okay, now you are gonna in real world talking to people, and talking is your business. You are getting paid for talking, for your communication skills. So yeah, communication skills are very important for a therapist. Now let's start with what communication skills are required. Therapy is a built on trust. Okay, therapy is built on what? Trust, empathy and connection. So to gain someone's trust, to empathize with someone and to build a connection, you have to communicate whatever the intention, whatever the aim of you, whatever the aim you are having. Okay, counseling or therapy is a alliance process. Okay, it is a therapeutic relationship, we can call it. Okay, relationship is there. Okay, and in this relationship what we are doing is we are solving a problem. Okay, we are trying to solve a problem. We are trying to get rid from a situation, or we are trying to get another point of view for a similar kind of situation. So communication is very important. What is communication is? Communication is when and also when communication is checked. Okay, how are you gonna assess the communication? The person who is telling is not the person who is going to, it is not the end where the communication is going to be assessed. The communication is going to be assessed on the another end. And in our cases, when it is about a psychologist or a therapist is communicating with a person who can be vulnerable, who can be anxious, who can be stressed, who can be in any kind of situation. Okay, so the other person who is stressed, anxious, or who is vulnerable at moment is going to assess your communication skills, and your communication skills are going to be assessed on that end. So communication is just not words. If it is about psychologists, it is just not words. It includes body language, tone, presence, everything. Sometimes you are not talking, but it is communication is happening. Okay, so you are not talking to, you are not like spitting any word from your mouth, but still there is communication which is happening by your non-verbal cues, or by your presence, or your tone, or just your humming. Okay, so strong communication helps build relationship. We already told what kind of relationship it is. It is a therapeutic relationship. Okay, it is built on trust, empathy and connection. Okay, so it helps us to build a good relationship, promote healing. Okay, if the person understood what we are trying to convey, healing will start. Okay, if in CBT you in CBT or REBT you are convinced a person about, you can like deliver the core belief or irrational belief of that person to that person, and you can dispute it on your with your communication skills. Now healing is happening. Okay, so now and like what happen when you have good communication skills? You understand, you know how to react, you know how to communicate, and you also understand what the other person is trying to say. So it also helps you to understand your client deeply. If you have good communication skills, you can get to know by like the non-verbal cues of that person, what he or she is trying to convey. Now, first thing first, if we are talking about in others, in the next session, we'll study about counseling process. So building rapport is very important. This is the first part. It is the first step of your counseling process. So you have to build a rapport. You have built a rapport to a person who see you as a healer, who see you as a someone who can help, or see who can understand. Okay, but still unknown. Okay, still you guys are strangers in the first session. So there should be a rapport which should be built. If there's a good rapport built between a therapist and client, then there's like the therapy is going to be very smooth. First is non-verbal cues. Okay, there should be a open body language, warm smile with warmth, welcome him. There should be humor, if you can include, very very conscious while using humor, because nowadays humor is very dangerous. Okay, so non-verbal cues should be there. Non-verbal cues like what? Like if you are nodding, nod in a way that it is not offensive and it is not judging. Okay, it don't look that you are judging, like no, don't do this kind of stuff. If you have to be like, be very calm, be very compassionate while talking to someone. Now what happen is sometimes the client go in catharsis, okay, where he is just like spitting his heart out. So you have to be a very active listener. Okay, you have to act in a way that he assume that you are actively listening it, and at the same time try to, like, don't try to act you are listening, but actually listen to that person, because it is going you to help in your interpretation and your intervention plans. Now get empathize with the client. Okay, feeling with the client. Okay, not just understand what he is feeling and sympathize him, empathize it, like put the shoe, like from like see the world from his point of view. If you are like dealing with a disabled client, okay, so when we are like if there is locomotor disability though is not our concern. Why? But still there is psychological advancement which is required, psychological processing, or cognitive restructuring is required for a person. So when you ask a person who is very vulnerable, you will get answers which are very, like, which are very rare and which are very vulnerable also. Okay, so one time when I asked one of a child with locomotor and multiple disabilities, I asked what is your biggest achievement, and there was a chair next to him, and he just said that sir, I can like climb to that chair on my own, I can sit on that chair independently. So this is his biggest achievement. And at the same time, when I ask you what is your biggest achievement, you will like show off stuffs like I can do this, I can do this, I went to Dubai, I went to here, I scored this much. But that person's biggest achievement, that he can sit on a chair on his own. Okay, so now see point of, like, now understand his point of view of life. Okay, whatever the problems with concern we think is problem is like far away from that person. Okay, there are simple and minimalistic things that person is dealing with. Now the person could be anyone, the client could be anyone. Okay, it can be a person having multiple relationship, it can be a person who have like perform any in anger, have done any violence to family member or someone. Don't just get carried away with your emotions, respect that person. Why? Because he is there to take help. Okay, he is not person who is just spreading violence in this society. He is there to control that emotion, he is there to control that anger. So you have to respect every person who is coming to you in therapy session. Be authentic, be real, be sincere. Okay, be real, be competent with your work. Okay, build your competence. If there is no competence, build your competence and be real with your clients. Common ground, like shared some, at a lot of time you have to share some values or interest to the client. Why? Because self sharing, like if you share your stuff, the client will think like, yeah, this thing is common. Okay, I'm not someone who is very different. Okay, we are not very much different. He assume that you are a person who have similar kind of, or who had similar kind of problems, and now with psychological advancement has now understand and now is actively working. Okay, now the most important thing is active listening. Okay, we have asked, like, don't act that you are listening, just listen to that person, hear him out. Attention is very required. Focus on the verbal and non-verbal cues that person is giving. If there's a non-verbal cues where the person seems a little unhappy or about, just provide him some comfort, or just be act in a way that that person like can share the things out. Okay, reflection is there. what happen is, when you are just actively listening, most of the time you can't record the sessions, because it is not it is like violation of confidentiality. So you cannot record the session, but you can just paraphrase it so you understand what he said and you can remember what he said. Okay, if he is saying that I went to this, oh, you went to this, yeah. Clarification should be there. Ask open-ended question. If you feel anywhere, if you feel that you are stucking, okay, you are not getting what you want from that person, yeah, or there are like if there's something he said and you don't understand, so ask for clarification, ask for an open-ended question, and ask for that person that what is meaning of this. Okay, if he is saying that that was worst day of my life, okay, ask him ki, what do you mean by worst? Okay, why it was worse? Validation should be there. Acknowledge that person's emotion, and it is okay to feel any way toward anyone. Okay, you have to validate his emotions. He is here because there was no habilitation of that person. Okay, might possible wherever you are providing therapy sessions, and you are just acting on rehabilitating that person to the mainstream, but first he is there because he is not get habilitation, his family, with peers or with society. Everyone is very judgmental, everyone is not validating him, that is why he is here or she is here. So another thing is, don't be a judgmental person, stay open and neutral. Okay, yeah, things happen, this is life, life is like this only. Okay, be in this mindset, this is life, everything can happen, anything can happen. Okay, so be non-judgmental, anything he's sharing, accept it as it is, don't judge based on your perceptions. Encourages, nods, eye contact should be there, short affirmation, or like unconditioned positive regards, or some affirmation of good affirmation should be there. Okay, constructive feedback you can provide if he is like doing something or some work. Okay, now we have done what active listening, how to practice active listening. So communication skills of active listening are done. Now therapeutic alliance. Now in a therapy, it is a alliance. These are two people working on same thing. Okay, we are working on same thing. So collaborative planning should be there. How frequent the sessions should be, how much, like what is our goal, what we are like assuming to achieve from this session and in coming sessions. It should be done in a therapeutic alliance manner. Not, you are not just the one who will decide that it is my intervention plan and you have to follow it. No, it is a alliance process, so you have to have shared goal, and collaborative planning should be there. Now clear the roles and steps. What is his role? Okay, if you have if you guys have planned something and you guys have intervention plan with you, agree to some tasks, that this is the task you have to do. Can you do it? What are the problems? If there are problems, I can help you. And after that, my role is going to be this in this relationship. Okay, because it is a therapeutic relationship. Now emotional bond should be there. You should trust your client. Okay, you should trust your client is very tricky, but you should understand your client, and your client should trust you. Why? Because you cannot understand a client if he or she don't trust you. If they don't trust you, they are just acting like they are in a therapy session, but actually they are out of therapy session at the moment they stop trusting you. Okay, and connection, establish an emotional connection. Establish a emotional connection, but manage your transference also. Okay, when you are connected emotionally, there are like more probability of having transference. Transference is when because of that emotional sharings, you develop a transference, like you make like the other person feels like that the therapist is a father figure to me, okay, or a boyfriend to me, or is brother to me. So it is transference, where they get another kind of relationship, when they want to develop another kind of relationship other than the therapeutic relationship. Okay, stay self-aware also. Why? Because with transference there are counter transference also. Okay, you can get some feelings toward that person, which can if not going well, can make you behind the bars. Okay, can like send you behind the bars. So like manage your transparency. If there's something, if the transference is so obvious and is so like prominent, then you can terminate these sessions if required. Clear communication should be there. Address doubt if you want, like we ask in active listening. If you are actively listening, you should ask, address doubt, goals, what what do you want from these sessions, or what are like, address your doubt ki why you are like why you said this kind of stuff, or what was going in your mind when you told me this kind of thing. And other than that, in therapeutic alliance, we have like discussed all the set rules, okay, which should be there in therapeutic alliance. But along with that, the most important tool is be flexible, adapt to your client's need. When you are in a therapy session, the most important person for you is your client. Okay, if there's something like if there's any medical emergency at your family or somewhere, so while starting the session, if you are like if any medical emergency or something which can arise while the therapy session, if there's any kind of like, if you know it could happen, like if there's any medical emergency or any kind of person you left in your home, so you can tell your client that this kind of emergency is at my home, and if in middle of session I get a call, can I attend it? So yeah, or I have to attend it. Okay, other than that, if there's no medical emergency or any emergency, don't attend any kind of calls, or don't attend or don't get involved in any kind of activities other than your therapy session. Now, there will be a time come in your therapy session where there is a difficult conversation happening. Okay, where the client are like sobbing in he's crying a lot, or he's sobbing, or it's very resistance to share. Okay, so you just have to acknowledge that he is resistance toward these things and name that resistance. That I like observed you are not talking about your father right now. Now like that person is going to do a catharsis, or is like you have to provide some more cues where he can share, or you have to self-sharing. If you have to like share your perspective on your father or any daddy issues or anything you had. Understand why. Okay, when there's a difficult conversation is happening, understand why, explore why it is very difficult for him. Understand his point of view. This is what we are going to do. Okay, now along with that, gently guide that person to change. Okay, motivational interviewing should be there. If we know that he is going out of line or somewhere, or not out of line, but he should get on some good track or something, so we can gently guide that person to change. But when the person is trusting us, and when their therapy session is and in a middle where you are guys are like collaborating for the like task completion. Okay, also, if you have to manage your transference now, so while difficult conversations, set your boundaries. Okay, stay clear what is allowed and what is not allowed. Okay, how deeper you wanna go is going to build the transference. Okay, if there's some thing related to his sexual identity or something, if it is required for you in your therapy session, you can explore it. But if it is not required, most of the time the past of that person, okay, like whatever catharsis is there, if we are talking about REBT and CBT, so in most therapy session, it is not required to get to know everything about that person. Okay, sometimes he or she is there for just a single issues, and that single issue can just be like just by finding the core belief or irrational belief of that person, and by disputing and cognitive restructuring it, we can solve that problem. So a lot of time it is not required to go very deeper. Know your boundaries and just remain in your boundaries. Conflict resolution is required if there's any difficult conversation is there. Okay, tactful and open dialogue should be there, and dialogue where the person understand the conflict and at the same time it resolve his conflict. Okay, this is the thing which I think is very difficult for you. Okay, so now he understood that yeah, this is the thing, and the resolution is he or she have to work on that thing only. And on for that thing you can guide him, or you can provide cognitive restructuring to that person. Supervision will be very required for you guys if you are not allowed to do therapy sessions and all. But still, if you are trying to like empathize with someone or somewhere, and if you get stuck, so ask for help, ask for professional. Like yeah, there are professionals who provide like paid helps to person, like in alliances. Okay, they can go, they can get on board with you for your therapy sessions, they can provide you some insight of your therapy sessions, and then they can leave. They charge for it. That's pretty common, and that's very good. If other than stucking in therapy session, you can just ask for help. Another very important skill is cultural competence. In earlier video we are already, while developing a test or while like selecting items, you should practice cultural competence. Like you know your biases. If you are biased, you are biased. Okay, know it, work for it, work in a manner that you like undo that biasness or something, because you get, if you get knowledgeable, if you get more logical explanation to that, you can like get rid from your biasness. So yeah, but if you are biased, then know your biases and be self-aware. You can ask for help, or you can just develop a point of view, and just not just because if you are biased, though, there can be prejudice and there can be stereotype which could happen, so you should avoid it. Cultural knowledge should be there. If you are dealing with clients of different culture, if at the first, while taking the case history, or while building rapport, you don't know that person, you don't understand that culture, then know that culture. In culture, I'm not talking about just the religious and spiritual cultures. There are n number of cultures which are there. There are n number of people who have developed a fetish cultures, fantasies cultures. If you don't understand that fetish or fantasy culture, you are not going to get involved with that person. For that person, that culture is life, and for you, that culture doesn't exist anymore anyway. So just know your know the cultural knowledge should be there. Cultural competence also involve this kind of cultures too. Sensitivity should be there. Avoid stereotype every time. Avoid biasness, stereotype, and prejudice. Don't prejudice, or don't stereotype, or don't discriminate your client on basis of any culture or any identity he or she have. Adopt style, language, tone, or metaphors the person is using. It provides good setting for counseling. If you are just accepting the language the person is comfortable in, if you are just changing your tone according to that person, a lot of time transference, if you get vibe from transference, now you can also it can help you to develop your style. Okay, a good setting is like if someone want to do catharsis on his mother-in-law or something, so he just want you to act like a friend who is listening to his talk. Okay, so whatever the gossip she has, you have to listen to that gossip, and you just get to involve in the gossips like a girl. Okay, so you can adopt a style where you are just like yeah. Okay, so yeah, you can adopt a style according to your client's needs. Consultation: when in doubt, seek help. Again, if cultural competence, you don't deal with like people with fetish cultures and stuff, you can ask for your professionals. Or if you're not professional, so someone available on internet who like support or is advocate for that culture. Advocacy should be there. Promote equity and justice. Okay, there are n number of schemes are also there for every person. If we are talking about mental health disability, and we are talking about disability, if you are working in disability sector, advocacy should be there. There are person who need legal aid at the same time they on the general term, if we say, so there is there are so injustice with them. There is injustice everywhere with them. You can provide them justice while providing them legal aid services, and there it is also part of our, if we are rehabilitating that person, then it comes into mainstream. Now, as I already told you, ethical consideration is going to be in every sessions we are discussing ethical consideration. Confidentiality should be there. Respect and explain limits. Okay, informed consent should be there. Ensure clarity and choices. Avoid dual roles. maintain your professional boundaries, avoid dual roles, and like don't get involved with your transparency. If you don't believe in your transparency, just follow whatever your heart says. Okay, don't go with flow. Okay. uh, yeah, so if you develop some kind of relationship where you are not now therapist and client, now you are friends, it is not required. You are brother sister, it is not required. Your girlfriend boyfriend, it is not required. Be in your boundaries, maintain your roles, and avoid dual roles. Competence is required. Keep learning, because as I said, there are a lot of cultures which you are not aware of. Okay, so don't just read for your fantasizing or like for your fun activity, but read or know that culture in a manner to learn about it and being competent about it. Okay. Ethical codes are there. Follow organizational standard. If you are practicing it anywhere in the society, so there are code like AP have developed ethical codes. A lot of organization have developed ethical codes. Or if you are like working in any any workplace, or if you are working in any hospital, so they have their code of conduct. So follow it and be in your boundaries. Conclusion to communication skills. Communication is lifelong skills. Keep improving. With every client you will get he to make him comfortable, you have to try some another kind of communication skills. Okay, so yeah, it is a lifelong skill which you are learning right now, and which you are gonna learn until your life is. Reflect, seek feedback, and learn from your clients. Okay, whatever seek for feedbacks. Okay, constructive feedbacks, we already said, are very important for motivation. So learn from your clients, seek for constructive feedback or any kind of critical feedback. You are a psychologist, you understand nothing is good and bad, it is just perspective. So yeah, just seek for feedbacks. Why you are not seeking for feedbacks? It is very required. It's very, very, very much required. Keep your connection real, kind, and respectful. Respect that person, respect that person, respect that person. Whatever the person is, respect that person. Be real, be kind. If you are going to act in a manner that I am respecting, it is going to be reflected in your therapy sessions. Understand that person first. Understand his community, understand his culture, and then get involved with your client. Get therapy start with great human connection. At the end, at the core, at the bigger picture, we all are just human. Okay, and just you are no one. You are just a human helping another human. Okay, so you just not any way different from that person. So be a good human. That's all from my side for this session. Let's meet in next class.